It seems Elizabeth Wurtzel has released another essay, but she's a train wreck, and I'm one of those yokels who has to rubberneck every time they drive by a wreck. So I read this thing so that you all didn't have to. Um, the title is Elizabeth Wurtzel Confronts Her One Night Stand of a Life, which is an interesting and remarkably deceptive title in that it suggests that there will be some soul searching going on, and she's going to explore her choices and admit where she's gone wrong. And the piece does frame itself as such, at least early on, but really, this is all just her talking about how she's so special compared to everyone else. So it had all gone wrong. At long last, I had found myself vulnerable to the worst of New York City, because at 44 my life was not so different from the way it was at 24. Stubbornly and proudly, emphatically and pathetically, I had refused to grow up, and so I was becoming one of those people who refuses to grow up, one of the city's lost boys. I did not just make up that sentence. She actually wrote it that way. So at the start, she kind of sounds like she knows she screwed some things up, and she's going to explore perhaps where she could have gone differently. But the rest of the essay really doesn't follow through on that, and I'll show you how. I am proud that I have never so much kissed a man for any reason besides absolute desire, and I am more pleased that I only write what I feel like, and it has been lucrative since I got out of college in 1989. I had the great and unexpected success of Prozac Nation in 1994, and that bought me freedom. And I have spent that freedom carelessly and with great gratitude. Why would I do anything else? I did not expect, not ever, to be scared to death. Here's the start of examples of how she screwed her shit up. And from the very beginning, she doesn't seem at all sorry. She sort of acknowledges that she didn't really do much with her early commercial success with Prozac Nation, and yet at the same time there's this why would I do anything else business. Like, she can't possibly imagine herself acting more responsibly, for heaven's sakes. But even I know that functional love includes a fair amount of falsity, or no one would get through morning coffee, and integrity is mostly a heroic excuse to avoid the negotiating table. But I can't let go. I live in the chaos of adolescence, even wearing the same pair of 501s, as time goes by. Like, she acts like she's admitting that her life is fucked up, like, but I can't let go. I live in the chaos of adolescence. And of course, she just has to make sure we remember she's wearing the same pair of jeans, or the same size of jeans, as she did in college, because as we all know, that's what a 44-year-old woman should really prioritize above everything else. I am committed to feminism and don't understand why anyone would agree to be party to a relationship that is not absolutely equal. I believe women who are supported by men are prostitutes. That is that. And I am heartbroken to live through a time where Wall Street money means these women are not treated with due disdain. You are not committed to feminism. You are committed to looking down your nose at anyone who doesn't live just like you. You've conveniently chosen the Wall Street crowd to vent your supposedly feminist snobbery on, but really, like, you don't get to call yourself a feminist until you acknowledge the concerns, or at the very least the existence, of women who cannot fucking afford to live in Manhattan, you crazy fucking bitch. Because of divorce, dating never ends for anybody. Men I was involved with long ago, more than one of them, have turned up after a whole marriage and kids, and being so sure they knew what life was, for to tell me they were wrong to let me go, which is funny. She just devoted valuable word count to tell us about her ex-boyfriends coming back years later after wife and kids and divorce to tell her that they shouldn't have let her go. In a city, these are the people who make the place vital and fun. They work hard but still have time to try a no reservations restaurant on the Lower East Side or to check out the small boutiques in Nolita and help interesting young designers get off to a start. Mostly they make six-figure incomes and somehow manage, and they are happy for the privilege. Six-figure incomes and somehow manage. Yes, I think they should be happy for that privilege. Says, but I never saved or invested because I believe if you take care of the luxuries, the necessities will take care of themselves. When I got a huge advance for Bitch, my second book, I bought a Birkin bag, which Maria has since stolen. If I had spent the money on a mutual fund for T. Rowe Price, I might well have panicked and lost it during the financial crisis of 2008, and I would never have had the pleasure of schlepping my stuff on the IRT in Hermes. But I have a better idea. Rather than buying yourself a fancy designer bag, why not take that money and fucking put it in the bank towards the down payment on the apartment in Brooklyn Heights that you so want? I am fortunate to have been well paid for an almost pathological honesty, and the only way I am able to write that way is by being that way. It has been worth it, of course it has been, because there is a higher price attached to rare attributes than common ones. But there is a lot of good, workmanlike journalism that I could have, should have, and would have done if anyone ever thought of me. I established myself as someone much too precious. And honest, I don't pretend to like people I don't, and I can't pretend to respect people who don't deserve it. Still, my financial life might look about the same no matter what, because I chose to write about an uncompromised life in New York City in these times, and the only way to be that person is to never have it all work out. Are you fucking kidding me? Okay, like, you're not honest. You're just totally in love with the smell and texture of your own shit. That doesn't make you uncompromised. That makes you a fucking attention whore. It has a beautiful backyard with a white picket fence, and if I lived in a tent outside, it would be perfect. To get to my apartment, I walk down a flight of stairs. The bedroom is a sub-basement and is not a legal dwelling space. It is small and cramped, and I hate it. I feel like I live in a dungeon. It is in Chelsea, east of 8th Avenue, the neighborhood equivalent of a dungeon. God, there is no planet outside of Manhattan. Oh my... I have spent an amazing amount of my life in tears. I have thought my heart was broken done, but there was always the next one and the next one. Or I went to law school, or I did something else. I am just not serious, okay? There you have it. All the things that other people are willing to do that make them adjustable like appliances. I can't. I can only love with a pure heart and hope for the best. There's a lot of this bullshit going on in this essay. There's a lot of supposedly admitting her own mistakes, but really going on about how other people are so fake and dishonest with themselves and not actually that happy. You know, how they're adjustable like appliances. And she just has a pure heart. No, I don't think so. There is a gap between me and everyone, like a perforated box of polluted air is separating me from people. The space from me to anyone who might understand how lousy I feel seems vast. This sentence of the perforated box of polluted air is, oddly enough, possibly the most interesting piece of stringing words together in the whole essay. But unfortunately, I think that perforated box of polluted air is not really a space imposed on her by her mental illness or by the treatment of her by society. I think she's just living with the smell of her own farts constantly around her. I have been engaged in telling the truth about my life for most of my life now, and I believe everything I say. The events I describe are precisely as I remember them, and as anyone else who was there recalls. This is a major part of the problem here, is that she believes everything she says. she's totally caught up in her own hype, and like there's no one around to tell her, actually, Elizabeth, um, you're a fucking psychotic piece of work, and you need serious help you're not getting, so grow the fuck up.
But this is it for me. I am a free spirit. I do not know any other way to be. No one else seems to live as I do. In a world gone wrong, a pure heart is dangerous.
You're not a free spirit. You're a fucking narcissist. You say, in a world gone wrong, a pure heart is dangerous. You don't have a pure heart. You're just purely up your own ass. The world is no more wrong than it ever was. You're the one who's wrong. And you don't want to admit that because, like, you've been living as this Miss, look at me, I'm so fucked up, ooh, I'm so fucking special, for so long, you've forgotten any other way to live.
I have always made choices without considering the consequences because I know all I get is now. Maybe I get later too, but I will deal with that later.
So the conclusion here is that you've always made idiotic choices and you have no intention of changing because all you get is now. So what exactly have we learned from this piece of yours? The misery here is palpable. I believe that she is seriously depressed, but I really hope that she intended to let us see that she's incredibly depressed, because that is basically the only thing that this article has succeeded in doing. I guess it's possible that, like, Elizabeth Wurtzel herself just can't help herself because she's been rewarded for spraying her shit around for so long that, like, basically she has no incentive to do anything else. There is much better content that could be put online, and there are much better writers who could contribute to your periodical, but instead you're giving us more Elizabeth Wurtzel just because you know that people are gonna give you page hits. So seriously, New York Magazine and The Atlantic and, like, anyone else who, like, allows this woman to take up column inches, you all are the problem.